The Crossroads of NATO and European Military Strategy, a Veteran's Perspective. European militaries and NATO as a whole are at a critical juncture. Years of underfunding, strategic missteps, and bureaucratic inefficiencies have eroded readiness and effectiveness. Yet we must also recognize a global shift. Military powers outside NATO and Europe are growing stronger, and the era of the West dominating as the world police is coming to an end. As a former soldier, I believe it's imperative that Europe reassess its approach to military power and diplomacy. This requires prioritizing defense, fostering respect among nations, and adapting to a multipolar world where cooperation, not domination, defines success. Europe's declining readiness. Chronic underinvestment continues to weaken European militaries. While NATO members have committed to spending 2% of their GDP on defense, most nations fall short, resulting in outdated equipment, limited troop numbers, and insufficient readiness. This shortfall is further exacerbated by a lack of coordination and standardization across NATO members. Additionally, Europe relies heavily on the United States for strategic leadership, intelligence, and logistical capabilities. This dependency undermines Europe's ability to operate independently and contributes to NATO's internal imbalance. A changing global landscape. Outside of NATO and Europe, military powers such as China, Russia, and regional actors like Iran and India are asserting themselves on the global stage. These nations have developed strong, modernized militaries capable of challenging Western dominance. In this new era, the world increasingly rejects Western military intervention. The days of imposing order through force are over. Nations now demand respect, sovereignty, and partnerships based on mutual interest rather than coercion. For Europe and NATO, this means recognizing that being the world police is no longer viable or desirable. The need for defensive strategies. For too long, NATO and European forces have operated under strategies emphasizing offensive capabilities. Military power was often projected in foreign interventions, justified by outdated doctrines of maintaining global stability. However, these actions often created more instability, fostering resentment and resistance. Moving forward, Europe must shift its focus to purely defensive strategies. This includes 1. Fortifying borders, strengthen defensive infrastructure to ensure national and regional security. 2. Diplomatic engagement, prioritize diplomatic efforts to resolve conflicts using military force only as a last resort. 3. Cooperation over coercion, foster international partnerships rooted in respect and equality rather than dominance. 4. Adapt to multipolarity, acknowledge the rise of non-NATO powers, and work collaboratively on shared challenges like climate change, cyber threats, and terrorism. Ending the era of global policing. The world has made it clear, it does not want a global police force. NATO and European militaries must adapt to this reality. Military power should no longer be used to impose order, but to protect nations from genuine threats. Interventions like those in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya have proven costly, ineffective, and damaging to global perceptions of the West. Instead, Europe must lead by example. By respecting sovereignty and working collaboratively, NATO can redefine its role as a defender of peace rather than an enforcer of Western interests. Conclusion: the European military establishment must evolve to meet the demands of a changing world. Strengthening defensive capabilities, embracing diplomatic solutions, and respecting the sovereignty of other nations are critical steps. As a former soldier, I've seen firsthand the importance of a military that knows its purpose, to defend its people, not to project power unnecessarily. The days of Western dominance through force are over, and that's not a failure. It's an opportunity to build a more cooperative and respectful global order. Europe and NATO must rise to this challenge, not with hubris, but with humility, recognizing that true strength lies in unity, respect, and the shared pursuit of peace. Thank you for listening. Wishing you a peaceful Sunday. Stay informed, compassionate, and hopeful for resolution.